Hi, my name is Santiago Flores, and today I'm diving into how the Freakonomics radio podcast challenges what we think we know by using rhetorical strategies to break down complex social and economic ideas. Across 8 episodes, episodes 116 through episodes 123, topics range from gender bias in medicine, the economics of March Madness, and the hidden costs of parking and obesity. Freakonomics Radio is hosted by Stephen Dubner, a journalist known for making economics both fun and interesting with the wide variety of topics he covers and his upbeat, energetic attitude. The podcast goal is to uncover surprising truths behind everyday issues using economics and behavioral science. Freakonomics' goal is to understand the why of everything and from there encourage their listeners, which are mainly made up of middle class American adults and teenagers with a basic education and a broad knowledge of a wide range of subjects, to make smarter, evidence based decisions and challenge societal assumptions. First off, let's talk about the different rhetorical strategies used in the podcast. In order to get the listener engaged with the topic, Dubner often displays a very curious and upbeat attitude, making the topic feel more accessible in a way. It's impossible for the viewer to be familiar with every single topic, which is why it is so important to make the audience feel like you're heading into this new and unknown topic with them as the host. Additionally, Dubner makes sure not to scare off his audience by easing them into the topic using relatively clear and friendly language, along with examples of more familiar concepts. For example, in episode 119, named How Money is March Madness, they make sure to introduce what the NCAA tournament is and compare it to something people might be more familiar with, which in this case was the Super Bowl, one of the biggest sports tournaments of all time. As for rhetorical appeals, you can clearly see uses of ethos, logos, and pathos in every single episode. In order to back up his own credibility on the topic, experts from economists, doctors, and psychologists who are related to the topic are constantly brought on, which is an example of ethos. In order to provoke feelings and emotions from the audience on certain topics, personal anecdotes or experiences will be shared from Dubner, different guests on the podcast, or random people on the street or random civilians. For example, in episode 118, which was called Parking as Hell, Dubner plays the voices of random people on the street who were asked to share their feelings on parking, which is an example of pathos. And to show he doesn't have any sort of personal bias, there's the constant use of he constantly provides uses of data, studies, and logical structures, which is an example of logos. When it comes to logical fallacies, there are very few, if any at all, because as mentioned earlier, Dubner does a very good job of setting up his credibility on the topics he talks about by bringing in experts on the subjects, as well as a wide variety of studies and statistics to back up what he's saying. And the part and or one area where Freakonomics really shines, and where I think it is its best part, I guess, is its ability to synthesize multiple sources and combine them to create a well balanced and cohesive discussion. This strength, in my opinion, is especially evident in episode 123, which is called Help Wanted, No Smokers Need Apply. In this episode, Dubner presents both sides of a controversial issue: whether employers should be allowed to reject job applicants based on their smoking habits. On one hand, he uses compelling statistics to support the argument that hiring smokers leads to significantly higher healthcare costs for companies, a clear appeal to logos. On the other hand, he introduces a powerful pathos inspired counterargument that refusing to hire smokers can be seen as discriminatory and ethical, especially by considering that smokers come from lower economic backgrounds and struggle to quit. So, by combining together data, expert interviews, and human stories, Dubner creates an informed, empathetic, and thought provoking conversation that showcases the podcast rhetorical effectiveness. Um, in conclusion, these rhetorical strategies, engaging tone, credible sourcing, emotional connection, and balanced argumentation help make the podcast clear, interesting, and easy to follow, which makes it more effective at helping listeners understand new ideas and think differently about everyday issues in our society. Thank you for listening.